This week on the travel show,
Mont St Michel marks its millennium.
that view is pretty amazing.
There's the shadow of Mont St Michel on the sand.
The parps and toots that make this port one of a kind.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And saving these bundles of fluff from extinction.
Yeah, he's thinking about it.
All right, we'll give him some time.
Here he comes.
I'm beginning this week in northern France on a journey that 2.5 million people take each year.
I'm kind of getting an idea of how popular this place must be because it's off season, it's super cold, but this bus is packed. You can see it, I've just got a glimpse of the Abbey. It does look pretty special.
This is Mont St Michel, one of France's most visited sites. It's an island off the coast of Brittany and Normandy, connected to the mainland by a half-a-mile-long bridge that opened back in 2014. And this year, the island celebrates a very special anniversary.
It is the 1000th anniversary of the construction of the church.
How on earth did they construct something like this 1,000 years ago?
Yeah, this is the best of medieval engineering. And it started off as a sanctuary dedicated to Saint Michel, Saint Michael, in the year 708. Then it took off, you know, the pilgrims started to come. They had to come across the bay, so walk through the sands, and then it developed in the 11th century with the construction of the church.
The abbey sits at the top of the cliff, surrounded by the village below.
Even nowadays, there are quicksands out there. There are a lot of strong currents.
So it must have been a really important site for people to want to make that kind of journey to
Yeah,
see this
it was
place.
a journey of a lifetime.
It's just quite funny to come in here and the contrast with the medieval look and then you've got shops.
Yeah, people are often surprised, but don't forget there were pilgrims coming here. Yes,
Yeah.
they needed to be housed for 1 or 2 nights. So there's been inns and souvenir shops even for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Of course, there were religious kind of souvenirs, medals, you know, rosaries, these kind of things.
So what's it like taking tourists around here then?
Well, it depends on the time of the year, really. It can be a very nice, peaceful time, you know. But I tend to like less and less working here in the middle of summer.
Because, why is
Because
that?
there's too many people. But it's beautiful, of course.
A new governing body recently took over the running of Mont St Michel with plans to improve the tourist experience.
Viking helmets, crossbows, the Eiffel Tower. You see?
They're encouraging people to visit off-season and steering them away from the souvenir stalls towards more of the surrounding area. But accessibility is still a bit of a problem.
It's so steep and so slippery that even this electric attachment is struggling to get up here. So my strategy is to get as much speed as possible up that hill, and as soon as I start slowing down, I'll be like, Salad! Save me! Okay. On y va?
C'est parti.
Excusez-moi! Attention, attention! Coming
Attention,
through!
attention.
Salad!
Ouais.
We got it! Come on!
The island's governing body told us that making any changes to this protected historic site is difficult, but they're hoping to find a solution within the next few years. Only around 30 people live here on Mont St Michel.
Bonjour!
Bonjour, Jacqui.
Inez and Jean are two of them. Their home has been in Jean's family since before the 17th century and is full of trinkets and antiques. Tell me about this.
C'est absolument magnifique. C'est une maquette qui a été fabriquée vers 1830 et on reconnaît un certain nombre de maisons aussi. Et notre maison, Pignon.
This is your house?
Oui.
And what is it like to live in this place day to day?
C'est un quotidien assez dur, au fait, parce que pour faire les courses, il faut aller à 10-15 km chercher tout ça. Nous sommes à vélo. Et puis il faut aussi se frayer un chemin entre les touristes, mais ça vaut la peine.
On vit dans le ciel, la lumière.
On se tourne vers la baie et la lumière est incroyable. Elle change tout le temps, c'est magique.
Up in the Abbey, the bell is rung for evening prayer. The Abbey is home to a small number of monks and nuns, members of the monastic fraternities of Jerusalem. Some of them spend their mornings down in the village, tending to their guest house or working part-time jobs to help cover the order's expenses.
Yes, it's really a unique place. And, you know, also we are here to say that this place has been made first for God and for worship.
Would you just like it just to be purely holy?
No, that's the way it is. You cannot change the reality. When we come here in Mont St Michel, we know that there is going to be a lot of noise during the services, that some groups are going to walk during the Mass or whatever, but we are here for them also.
Back outside, I've taken to my crutches.
These are the last steps, Ade.
Are you sure?
Yes, they are the last steps.
Is there champagne up here for me? And now we have to go down.
And now we have to go down.
Oh my days. That view is pretty amazing.
And look at this.
Wow.
Look at there's the shadow of Mont St Michel on the sand.
Oh yeah.
That's the best time of the day. When I come to this place in particular, the North Tower as we call it, for me it sums it all up. I often compare the Mont St Michel as being the jewel and the bay, the box. So that's the jewel in the box. You've got it all.
And that image has been there for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking of coming to France this year, here's some things to look out for.
The Loire Valley's among the best places to see classic France. Vineyards, medieval towns, and more than 300 chateaux. The city of Blois is the best jumping off point for the wider region and is itself home to two of the most popular castles, including the Chateau de Chambord, a 16th century masterpiece that many think Leonardo da Vinci had a hand in designing. In the summer month, you can head for Nantes in Brittany, which every year hosts a huge citywide art trail. Its 30 stages take in the big attractions at the Jules Verne-inspired Machines de Lille theme park. You'll have to pay to ride the Great Elephant or SeaWorld Carousel, but many other sites on the route are free. The beach town of Boulogne is home to Europe's biggest aquarium, and it's vast. There are about 1,600 species at Nausicaa, and the main tank's so big it takes about 6 weeks to fill. There are rotating exhibitions. Right now, augmented reality allows you to experience what life is like for creatures in the open seas.
Still to come on today's show,
the Canadian port that likes to blow its own horn. And the big bear hugs that could help save a famous marsupial from extinction.
That's quite the noise.
Well, that noise is, you're close enough.
so stick with us for that.
I'm in Mont St Michel in northern France, where an unlikely dish has become something of a tourist attraction.
I'm getting into the beat here.
The Mer de Poulard Omelette has been served here since the 19th century, when the owners were in need of a quick and easy recipe to serve to the island's many visitors. Since then, it's become a strange staple of the French election cycle. If a presidential candidate visits Mont St Michel and doesn't eat the omelette, superstition says they're doomed to failure.
And some people might say that you have to be pretty important just to afford it, because prices start at 32 euros just for an omelette. You do get entertained though. The moment of truth, time to see if this lives up to all the hype. I like it. Really light and fluffy. I'm feeling presidential already.
To Canada next, and a gem from our archives. On the country's east coast lies the seaport town of St John's, capital of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Its little harbour may look like many others around the world, but listen a bit harder and you'll soon spot what sets it apart.
It's Symphony in the harbour. That means we're not playing violins, we're not playing basses or banjos or guitars. Ya 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 ya, meep 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 meep. We're playing wind instruments, and then the ship's whistles. Meep 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 beep beep beep, or something like this, you know. I go from ship to ship and ask the officers if we could use their horn for the day or for that particular time. And most of them are happy to participate because it's something different from the mundane tootling the horns. This is a time score. And the way this works, Coast Guard will give the countdown over channel 11. That's the ship-to-shore radio here. And there's two people. You have a time taker who reads out the time, the seconds, loud, and the other person follows the score.
I am very keen on experimental and weird music, and so when asked to compose a piece of music for 5 to 10 freighters, I easily jumped at the chance. I have no idea what it was going to sound like. Basically, we're given a graphic score where we can kind of basically like fill in dots, so to speak, that indicate when somebody is supposed to honk their horn.
41, 42, 43.
Quite often you can hear a harmony which is actually not intended, but it just happens to come out like this sometimes. It's absolutely beautiful.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sheila was doing the horn today, her first time, and she started out, okay, I got to get this right. I got to do this right, and after a while she got into it and got into the ad-lib, improvised spirit of the thing, and you could almost see her body language was going to the music, and I thought, okay, this is fantastic. 59, 60, yes! Good job.
I didn't get quite the melodic structure I was hoping to get, but it was beautiful to hear anyway.
Well, it's interesting. I guess it puts a little bit of a twist in your lunch hour for sure. So other than that, I think it's pretty interesting and comical. I guess I don't know what else more to make of it, really.
People think we're crazy. Of course we're crazy, but actually no. That's what art is all about. If Beethoven had been in St. John's, or if he'd been here today, he certainly would have written the Harbour Symphony.
Right, we're off to Australia next, and to a sanctuary that might well end up saving a whole species from extinction. And not just any species. We're talking Tasmanian devils, a creature made famous by popular culture, but which faces a really bleak future if we're not careful. Jacqui Wakefield, Miss Fig and Wedge in Barrington Tops National Park.
This is a whole other world from the arid plains many people think of as rural Australia. Barrington Tops National Park, about 5 hours drive north of Sydney, is all about greenery, lush rainforests and wildlife everywhere.
The bush here is full of animals like koalas, wallabies and kangaroos. But there's one animal that's been newly introduced and it could help save the species from extinction.
It's hoped these hills will provide a safe haven for the Tasmanian devil, whose populations are being ravaged over on their home island, Tasmania. 90% have been wiped out by a highly infectious disease that causes facial tumours and eventually death. But this sanctuary is at the centre of efforts to save it.
Hey guys, thanks for coming up. Welcome to Aussie Arc. Now we have a couple of special little animals for you guys to have a look at today. We've got Sandra D here and we also have Pickles.
So far, Aussie Arc has had 7 breeding seasons with a total of around 300 baby devils, or joeys.
I think she just likes moving around.
She's just investigating. So devils have a very, very good sense of smell. So you can see her nostrils going. She's sniffing around because we all smell all new. It's all new people, all new smells.
Look at all her whiskers.
They admit here that inviting visitors in was something of an afterthought, but Kel reckons it's now an important part of the conservation effort.
To have a sweet devil joey that you can cuddle in and interact with absolutely changes people's perception because they're sweet and they have personalities and they're inquisitive, and that's really important. No one is going to want to protect and look after something that they're scared of or don't understand or see is just really aggressive.
And why save the Tassie devil? So Australia actually has the highest rate of extinction of mammals compared to the rest of the world. One of the more recent animals to go extinct was the Tasmanian tiger, leaving the Tassie devil the biggest marsupial predator in Australia. The joeys aren't set loose into the wild of the sanctuary until they've done some growing. Each animal considered for release is selected for its genes. They're making sure the population's genetically diverse enough to be self-sustaining. And before this one, called Wedge, goes, there's a thorough health check.
People would expect this devil now to be jumping out and grabbing onto your throat.
Yeah.
Look at it. We just get a little grumble.
That's quite the noise.
Well, that noise is, you're close enough.
That's enough, folks.
Come on, mate. Okay. He's in. Watch your legs. Please grab it and twist. Can you give Kel a reading, please?
11.15.
Woo!
So that big boy?
That's about as big as you would expect a male to get.
Yeah.
Wow, what a boy.
All right, out he comes.
Okay, and he's heavy for Kel. So
right.
Come in, even while he's wiggling, just down low here, watch for him to swing, okay?
Sure. Tim gives him the once-over while I administer the anti-tick medication.
Watch for the swing. Okay, I'm already having a look over and around, so fingers and toes, all good this side. He's a big boy, so he's been dominating the yard where he is. We've got a tiny little discharge in the eyes. Only got about 1 kilometre. Nah, no, much shorter.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to drive into the middle of a fenced sanctuary, which essentially for these devils now is being released to the wild. People, particularly those that don't live in Australia, can't understand the concept of our invasive species and predators. Like, we've had introduced to Australia fox and cat and buffalo and pig and rats and mice. And we didn't have any of these things. So what we have to do is create islands of habitat that are invasive pests free, invasive species free. This is us.
We're taking 2 devils out with us, Miss Fig, a female, and Wedge, the big strapping male at the health check. They'll have an area of about 4.5 square kilometres to call their home. Effectively for them, that feels like living in the wild.
We've got a great vista, they'll take off, probably follow the road.
Long term,
Yep.
what's the hope?
The long-term hope is that devils in Tasmania survive in the wild and that they function in their ecological role. And secondarily, that we have devils back in eastern Australia on mainland.
So he'll just kind of think about it now.
Well, sometimes they're not even facing the right way. He is. Yeah, he's thinking about it.
All right, we'll give him some time.
Here he comes. Come on, mate. Oh. See how quiet he is? Look, really shy, really timid.
Hello.
Good boy.
How good's that? A bit of a thing, yeah. Amazing.
Great, right? For now, let's just hope these 2 are warm tonight and that this one has joeys in 3 months and the male has represented his genetics and so, you know, and that's the nature of conservation. It's really complex.
Yeah.
But we can at least just have some simple fun knowing that after a decade, we've got to a point that we can let some devils go into this island of habitat.
It's amazing.
Right, that's it for this week. Coming up next time, Carmen's in the Philippines, diving into life on the island of Siargao and seeing for herself the recovery 1 year after Super Typhoon Odette swept through the tropical paradise.
So were you here during Odette, Typhoon Odette?
I was here during Odette. Probably the worst experience of my life.
And don't forget, you can catch up with all our adventures on social media. But for now, I'm off to get warm, because it's freezing. Bye-bye.